Well, hey everybody, Jimmy here from Michigan Outdoors here at the world headquarters of Michigan Outdoors here in West Michigan. Hey, our big winner from last week's giveaway with our friends from Lake Effect Lures and RBM Jigs was James Anderson. Got a great package there, James. We'll be sending that out to you here pretty quick. And make sure that you are watching over the next few weeks. We should have some more giveaways, and enjoy this week's show. Michigan Outdoors Online is brought to you in part by Tri-County Logging. Experienced in sustainable forestry practices, Tri-County Logging can help you manage your property by keeping your woods healthy and generate income. Serving southern and mid-Michigan for nearly 50 years, TriCountyLogging.com. Well, hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Outdoors. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We've got a special show. We're going to spend all of it above the bridge in the Upper Peninsula. We've got a couple different fishing stories from the Keweenaw Peninsula, beautiful part of our state. Then we're going to drop down to US 2 in Nobbinway and show you an event that you may just want to take part in a few weeks. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's meat processor and Michigan destination since 1988. Offers a variety of homemade smoked meats and Michigan-made products in-store and online. The Country Smokehouse features an outdoor barbecue and bar. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By RBM Jigs, a Michigan-based company serving ice fishing anglers around the state and throughout the country. Specializing in ice fishing gear, RBM Jigs manufactures tungsten jigs, soft plastics, and much more. Online at lakeeffectlures.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons. AnglerQuest is a Michigan-based company building boats designed for comfort and fishing functionality. For more information, anglerquestpontoons.com. By Polar Craft Boats, offering riveted and welded boats for the outdoor enthusiast. Whether you're targeting fish or waterfowl, Polar Craft Boats have several models to choose from that keep you high and dry. For more information, polarcraft.com.
So today we're out in Keweenaw Bay. We're finally getting good ice, several miles out offshore, and we're kind of in the middle of this bay here fishing on one of the several different reef structures that comes up out of deeper water, which by deep I'm referring to 200 to 300 feet of water, and right now we're looking for about 80 to 100 feet of water, which is shallow on Keweenaw Bay for fishing for lake trout. But really, if you think about the places you catch them in the open water season trolling, spring, fall, and midsummer, really we're fishing that same type of structure where it's a really steep drop. There's a lot of bait fish that kind of filter through here, and we've got this really deep water nearby where these fish can kind of head out into when they're, done feeding. So the plan today is we're going to fish the edges of this reef. We're going to be looking for active fish on the graph, and once we find them, we're going to be really aggressively jigging for them, trying to get that reaction bite.
Today we were fishing about 3 miles out on the bay, and although it does take a little work and the right equipment to get out this far, the style of fishing is really pretty basic. As long as you have a decent graph and a few jigs, you can catch fish.
So really we start out working the jig right on the bottom. We're kind of banging it into the mud, trying to create a little bit of noise and stir things up a bit. And the theory is that gets the trout's attention as they're cruising around here. And once we've done that for a bit, I'm going to lift my jig up about 10 or 15 feet off the bottom. And then I'm watching the graph to see if fish are coming in, at that level or even above or below it. And once I start seeing those active fish coming, I'll start to work them, vertically in the water column. So if I've got a fish under my jig, I'm going to keep reeling away from that fish until it basically stops chasing or bites. If that fish turns off, I'm just going to drop it right down past him again. And a lot of times he'll turn and grab it on the drop, or the next time you start ripping it up, he's going to come up and nail it. Should be able to see him. There we go. Nice one. First fish. That's always the hardest one. But that didn't take long. I think we've been here about 15 minutes in earnest with lines down in the water for maybe 10 or 12. So that's a perfect starting point. This is about a 3 or 4 pound fish. Jane's hooked up. We got a double. I'm going to let this one go. And we'll see what she's got. There he is at 50 feet. Oh, he's a good one.
Thanks.
You're caught on your jacket there.
My reel is loose.
Oh, yes it is.
Yes, it is. I have to do a little bit of hand lining.
Yeah, just keep doing exactly what you're doing. Getting close. There you go. Keep it up. Yeah. There, we're at the leader. Lift up. Oh, that's a nice fish. Okay. Oh, wow, Jane.
Oh, and look at that. My reel just broke.
That's a beaut. So that's getting to be one of the better types of quality of fish we're getting out here.
Oh, yeah. Bit right when I dropped it to the bottom. And just right when I picked it off. And I felt slack in the line. And I picked up and I had a fish. And I almost lost him because my reel almost fell off my rod. So.
So fishing out in Keweenaw Bay, typically there's a lot of mixed results on any given day. It's a really big body of water. You know, we could drive 20 miles that way on ice still. So we're talking about a lot of places for fish to be and a lot of places for you to find fish. So, you know, folks that come up here for the first time, you know, a lot of times they might have a bad experience as far as catching fish just because of the vastness of it. But, you know, in addition to that, travel on the ice can be really challenging. You know, we had a little mechanical issue today with our tracks here, but you know, we just kind of took it slow and steady and made it out here anyways. But the ice is real kind of jagged the way it's formed this year. We've got a lot of broken up ice that's kind of formed back together, and now we've got 2 feet of snow on top of it. Oh, he's off. So even though the ice looks really thick here, you know, we're still using a lot of caution as we're coming further and further out. There's some great tools. One is MODIS, which is a satellite image that comes out every day. So on a clear day, we get satellite imagery to show us where this ice edge is at, and it's a really great idea to start online and look at that. And then as we're working our way out from shore, it's really a great idea, you know, especially if you're not seeing other people or in an area that's heavily traveled, to be checking your ice every little ways and really watching for ridges, spots on the ice that look slushy, because you know, we get these pressure cracks where wind and wave and everything can kind of pull that ice apart, and you know, usually, you know, those are spots where bad stuff can happen. So just really good to use extra caution. This one took a much more subtle presentation than the last few. The bites kind of slowed down a little bit for us, so I was literally just kind of working it right on bottom, just giving it a real subtle jig. And we got another nice eater-sized fish here.
Lake trout, like just about every other kind of fish, can be a little finicky at times, and even though you might see them on your graph, they don't always cooperate. But sometimes all it takes is a little change in the presentation to get them to bite.
The more you can get a lake trout to move on your graph, the more likely he is to bite. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you see fish that are chasing, they'll chase 2 or 3 times maybe from the bottom up. And a lot of times it's that second or third time that they're chasing it that they'll actually eat. But you really can't be too aggressive with these fish if they are chasing. You know, if they're in that mood, you know, their prey is typically smelt out here, and a smelt doesn't just sit there and give up. So, you know, an active presentation can be very effective sometimes. But if that's not working, you know, slow it down and cover your bases. Looks like a good one. You feel good?
Feels pretty good. Not as big as the one we had so far, but...
Was he up in the water column, or you were jigging right
Nope,
by bottom?
right by bottom like the other
Just
two.
like the last one.
Yeah.
So the bite's changed a little bit. There he is. Oh, that's a nice fish. That's a nice fish. Oh. You're showing me up today.
My hand's actually getting a little tired.
Nice. Well, we're catching up. It's been a slow bite the last hour, but it seems like these last couple of fish, we changed up the presentation a bit and just a really slow jig right on bottom. And now we're getting some different bites, so we'll take it.
Keweenaw Bay is a unique fishery with lots of contour and plenty of places to fish. Special thanks to Travis and Jane for teaching us all a little bit more about fishing the hard water on Keweenaw Bay. Last week, I was fortunate enough to spend a few days in the Keweenaw Peninsula, including a day chasing pike on Portage Lake with a few local anglers.
We are fishing the south entry of Portage Lake, right where it comes into Lake Superior. Game plan today is to hook into a couple big females coming out of Lake Superior into the Portage here. And we've got a beautiful day as far as weather. A little overcast, mid-20s, storm coming tomorrow, so hopefully the weather and the fish are going to cooperate. What we're using on these are big golden shiners. That's been the hot ticket so far. We do have a couple big suckers out also, but I just do the traditional right behind the dorsal fin. I start out in the morning about a foot off the bottom. As the day goes on, depending on the fishing conditions and things like that, I'll slowly start raising stuff up. One mistake I see a lot of people do, don't change all your tip-ups at once. You know, pick 1 or 2 and change the depths and see what works. If you change all your tip-ups, well, then you don't know exactly what those fish are doing. You know, it's still going to be slow, it might pick up, but pick a couple tip-ups and just change a couple here.
For the most part, Jason likes to use only tip-ups when ice fishing for pike, and he recently started taking advantage of a new product that makes using them a whole lot easier and efficient.
So this is called a vulture system sensor. The way that these work, it's a two-way sensor. So for your tip-ups, so what happens is when the flag goes off, it's going to pull this magnet off. This is going to start blinking, and then I wear a handheld that's going to let me know that the flag went off. So I don't have to constantly be watching flags to see what's happening, what's going on, you know, as far as the numbers and stuff like that. What's neat about these, and I'll turn this one on so you can see it better, but so that's the beep that I get once I activate this. So when we're fishing, all I have to do is watch for that, listen for that beep. It doesn't matter the weather conditions, it doesn't matter anything else. The difference between these and other systems on the market is this is a two-way sensor. So I can fish legally up to about a mile away, and I can check All I do is push a button, it sends a signal to this, and then it sends a signal back to let me know I'm still in range, still everything's working. The other neat thing about these is at the end of the night, I can turn on a light and light up all my tip-ups at once. So you can find your tip-ups in the dark, or if snowmobilers are coming through, things like that. It's a really cool product. Like I said, we talked to the DNR both in Wisconsin and Michigan about these. I can legally fish a mile away just because I'm actually still tending my tip-ups. And the DNR that we talked to, they actually like these because we get a quicker response than if you just be watching.
No, he's still there. We're good.
Nice and easy.
Feels jumpy like a little guy. All
Not
right.
bad. Not a bad way to start the day. Probably, I'm gonna guess 28-ish.
There's another one up over here. Okay.
Yep. Go ahead.
I think he got off. No, he's still there. It's really hard to tell. It's like he's swimming with me. He's still there now? Yeah.
Nice and easy, nice and easy.
Joining Jason and I on the ice today was Noah and Abraham, both of whom live and fish in the area. Jason is constantly taking others out on the ice, whether that's through his guide service or just for fun. He rarely misses an opportunity to spend a day on the ice chasing pike.
Really looking forward to.
So I grew up pike fishing. I love it. You know, for me, it's my favorite fish to catch. As far as guiding, I love guiding people for pike because most people never have the experience to catch a 40-inch fish. And for me, my excitement comes watching their expression when we pull this fish out of the hole. You know, half the time it's half excitement, half just terrified look on their face because they just don't understand how big these fish can truly get. As a kid, I had the privilege of, you know, I got to spend a couple weeks with my uncle fishing. My dad always took me fishing, but my best memories growing up was ice fishing with my dad for pike. For me, that was, you know, the best time that we had was going out to a lake in Wisconsin, Elkhart Lake. We'd fish the boat launch and we'd fish for pike. And I loved it. I fell in love with that aspect of it. And it carried with me. And because of that, I want to try to show other people the same type of passion and love that I have for it. And what this, you know, can do for you and your family, getting your kids outdoors, spending time with your family, and just doing something different.
Yeah, it's been kind of a flag here and there. We're just waiting for that midday rush. It's good to have some action though to keep moving.
Portage Lake, to back it up a little bit, back in the late 1800s, they dredged out both sides to Lake Superior. They did that for the big ships and for a safe port for the ships. Because of that, Portage Lake is really unique. We're connected to Lake Superior on both sides. It's a deeper, colder lake, so because of that, we get a lot more bait fish. More bait fish equals bigger fish. Big pike thrive in this lake, along with walleye. We've got an excellent bass population and crappie. Go ahead and check it.
Oh yeah. Oh, this I don't want to say yet, but it feels better. Abram, get that tip up so I can give it line. I don't know for sure, but it feels like it could be good. Nope. Yeah, just...
This style of fishing often involves a lot of downtime waiting for flags to fly. As we waited, I had a chance to ask Jason what he loves about living and working in the Keweenaw.
Me and my wife, we love the Keweenaw for, you know, a bunch of different reasons. One, we think it's one of the most beautiful areas that we've found. But the biggest reason is the people up here. You know, this past summer we had a huge flood that devastated the entire area. We got hit extremely hard, you know, like with a lot of other people. We were gonna just pack up and go back to Wisconsin. But the neighbors that came out and helped, the people that came and just dropped what they were doing to come and help total strangers. You know, one of the things that happened, there was an elderly lady. She was going around helping people and she couldn't do any help, but she was just giving out hugs. And that's the type of community that we have up here. And for us, that's more important, you know, than anything else. The structure stuff, that can get rebuilt after, you know, Mother Nature comes by. But for us, the area up here, the people, it's just the best place in the country.
There we go.
We never did land any of the giant pike that this body of water is known for, but it was still a great day on the ice in an area of the state that we don't get to visit very often. Special thanks to Jason and the guys for letting me tag along on a fun day of fishing on Portage Lake in the Keweenaw Peninsula.
Well, as you can see, there is a lot of good fishing to be had up there in the Keweenaw. What we're going to do now is drop down to US 2 in the little town of Nobbinway for a really cool event that you may just want to be a part of here in the next couple of weeks. We're here in Nobbinway today for the Antique Snowmobile Festival that's going on. It's about single-degree temperatures, blowing sideways right now. The sun is out for a little bit, but we're going to kind of just wander through here. We're up here ice fishing. We heard about this festival, so we thought, hey, let's stop by, see what it's all about. Hopefully we'll find some of these snowmobile owners that can talk about some of their old sleds. So it's pretty cool. I really don't know what to expect, but let's go for a walk and see if we can find a little bit more about the festival and the museum that's here in town as well. All right, Charlie, what is going on here today in Nobbinway?
Today is our 30th annual show and ride. 30 years we've been here, and today we're lined them up. Yesterday we had our vintage ride. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we had our rear engine ride. Today is lined up here, and that 12 inches of snow we got last night should have been a week ago. But we're dealing with it.
Yeah, so you've been doing this for 30 years. Where do people
30
come?
years.
Is it all from Michigan or all over the Midwest?
Oh,
or?
there's from South Dakota,
Really?
Minnesota, Ohio. Usually the Canadians come, but they're not. We got followers from Quebec and Ontario that are usually here. Barry Graham, the Husky Guru.
Wow.
But they didn't make it this year because of the border stuff. But
Okay.
yeah, all over. The South Dakota guy, he was here all week with us. The Minnesota guys were here all week with us. The Ohio guys were here all week with us. Now I'm forgetting somebody. Wisconsin too, of course. Lower Michigan, all over.
So these are some pretty old sleds. What is this?
Yeah, there's some very, very rare sleds here. This air sled's like one of 10 made.
Really?
There's some really unique stuff here. And of course, have you been in the museum yet?
I was just going to ask you. Tell me what's in the museum over there.
There's 185, and there's some really one-of-a-kind stuff, 1 of 3, 1 of 2, some Ellis Chalmers, a Honda.
Okay.
A Honda snowmobile, yes, a Honda. Some different stuff. This is the one I took on our 3-day ride. 3 days, 100 miles.
3 days, 100 miles. Now, how many
It's
people?
called a rear engine.
Okay.
Rear engine only. How many guys? Like 15 or 20 of us went on the
Okay.
rear engines.
Wow.
Yes, and some got towed back.
What's the attraction of these old sleds?
I got to have a hobby of some sort. Why collect stamps? Why collect
guess that-
coins? You can build playing with this stuff.
That's a good point.
And you know, mosquito free, no black flies. It's awesome.
How
Can't
did you
get
get
any better?
How did you get into this whole thing?
After I got out of the Army, I talked my dad into being a Viking dealer, and it's been snow sleds ever since.
Wow.
We had a Husky as kids. That's when there was 8 of us. And Dad's first sled was a Husky. Then I got drafted, and then I got out. I talked him into being a Viking dealer, and it's been snowmobiles ever since.
It was really great to walk around the museum, which is open year-round. And Charlie is there pretty much year-round as well to explain how this whole museum even came into existence.
On the sled.
Okay.
This snowmobile is gifted to the Top Lake Snowmobile Museum by Bombardier. But Bombardier's made in Velcourt, Quebec. Big company, been in business for a long time. Got a lot of money. They've got a beautiful, beautiful museum. But they chose this museum to give 33 sleds to.
That's awesome.
So you'll see them throughout the building. Like this is one of 21 built. This is a prototype 1966. There only 21 of those were built. So we'd have a tough time having one of those if it wasn't for Bombardier. There's a few other sleds back here the same way. We'd have a tough time finding.
Now, the little mouse told me that you were recently inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we were.
And Hall of Fame of snowmobiling, or what was
It's
it?
called the International Snowmobile Hall of Fame out of Eagle River, Wisconsin. My wife and I, Marilyn and I both,
Okay.
we were inducted. There's a plaque on the wall.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a legit...
I'm legit, yes. I don't know much, but I know snow sleds.
If you find yourself in the UP and heading through Nobbinway, may I suggest you stop at the Snowmobile Museum. If nothing else, listening to Charlie talk about these sleds, well, it's worth your time. And if you really want the full effect, this special event happens every year. So many great spots to explore in the UP, so get up here if you can and take in the sights and sounds of a day on US 2. Well, hey everyone, thank you so much for watching Michigan Out of Doors this week. And if you would like to be a part of that Snowmobile Festival, it is happening in mid-February on Saturday the 18th if you want to check it out. Lots of good stuff coming over the next several weeks here in Michigan Out of Doors. And if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by.
Do you dream of somewhere bigger than your backyard? You can get there with Greenstone. Whether you want to hunt, fish, hike, or just watch the sunset, we're ready to help you own your place in the great outdoors. To learn more, visit greenstonefcs.com.
By Alta Equipment Company, providing sales, rentals, service, and parts because uptime matters. From earth moving to landscaping and light construction, Alta offers over 50 brands across 7 Michigan locations to serve you. More information online or 844-GO-2-ALTA. By Walker's Creek Event Venue at Double D Ranch. Located in the central Michigan town of Lake, Walker's Creek offers an outdoor setting for weddings, corporate events, and more. Walker's Creek Event Venue, wcvenue.com. By Showspan, producing consumer shows including Outdoorama at Novi's Suburban Collection Showplace. The show features tackle, trips, boats, outfitters, the trout pond, and of course, Big Buck Night. That's Outdoorama and Novi.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan man. From the Keweenaw down to St. Joe, Kalamazoo, East to Monroe, to St. Marie and back again. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love